The 2026 Clio Awards just shook the music world. And this time it's more than just trophies. It's a battle of influence, artistry, and recognition. Kendrick Lamar walked away with one of the most prestigious honors, stunning fans and critics alike with a win that celebrated groundbreaking creativity and artistic vision. Meanwhile, Drake, the king of streaming numbers and global popularity, watched the ceremony with intense scrutiny as questions swirled. Does commercial success outweigh creative innovation, or is it the other way around? The Clio Awards have always been a space that highlights ingenuity, and this year, the results are sparking debates across social media, forums, and even inside the industry itself. Fans immediately took sides. Some hailed Kendrick's victory as a triumph of artistry over mainstream appeal, emphasizing the layers, thoughtfulness, and experimental brilliance that earned him the award. Others argued that Drake's global influence, cultural reach, and ability to dominate charts should have given him the edge. Social media exploded with memes, reaction videos, and passionate commentary. Everyone wanted to weigh in. Is the Clio Award proof that the industry values innovation above fame? Or does it show a disconnect between mainstream popularity and creative recognition? Adding fuel to the fire, insiders hinted at tension behind the scenes. The music world thrives on competition, and accolades like these aren't just symbolic. They impact collaborations, endorsements, and influence. Conversations about legacy versus popularity suddenly became front and center. Fans weren't just talking music. They were debating what matters more in 2026: artistry, numbers, or influence. The Kendrick versus Drake narrative had already been a hot topic, but the Clio Awards pushed it into a new dimension. In a ceremony where every category celebrates ingenuity, innovation, and execution, Kendrick's win sent a clear message. Creativity still commands respect. But Drake's legion of supporters didn't take it lightly, and the conversation quickly evolved into more than just awards. It became about who shapes culture, who defines the sound of a generation, and whose influence can't be ignored, regardless of trophies. The clash between creative mastery and global dominance is now the talk of the year. Fans, critics, and industry insiders alike are asking, who truly dominates 2026, Kendrick or Drake? And as the debate heats up, one thing is clear: this is more than an award show. It's a defining moment in hip-hop, and the conversation has only just begun. The 2026 Clio Awards ceremony had barely begun when the tension in the music world became palpable. Industry insiders, journalists, and fans alike were already buzzing, but no one expected the storm that would erupt over Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Both artists arrived with massive reputations. Kendrick, hailed for pushing boundaries and elevating artistry to new heights, and Drake, the reigning global streaming king whose every release dominates charts worldwide. The Clio Awards, known for celebrating innovation, creativity, and the marriage of art and execution, became the backdrop for a competition far bigger than any single category. It wasn't just about a trophy. It was about recognition, validation, and the implicit question of what the music world values most. Kendrick Lamar entered the ceremony with a quiet confidence that came from years of meticulously crafted work. Each album, each verse, each visual component of his artistry was a study in precision, innovation, and layered meaning. For years, he had cultivated a reputation as the artist's artist, the one who blends storytelling with cultural critique, who makes music that rewards repeated listening, and who pushes boundaries in ways few dare to attempt. While he may not always dominate social media trends or streaming numbers to Drake's level, Kendrick's influence is profound, shaping both peers and the next generation of artists. This Clio Award, which specifically honors creativity and originality, felt almost like destiny for him. Meanwhile, Drake arrived in a different orbit. His energy radiated charisma and confidence, backed by millions of fans around the globe who consumed every song, video, and social media post he produced. Drake's strength lies in his ability to dominate the mainstream, to create hits that define eras, and to maintain cultural relevance across continents. Popularity, reach, and commercial power have been his trademarks for over a decade, and his influence is undeniable. For his legion of fans, The Clio Awards were yet another stage where his global dominance should be recognized. Even if the award focused on creative ingenuity, many argued, commercial influence is a form of artistry in its own right, a reflection of connecting with millions on a scale few can achieve. As the ceremony progressed, the tension between artistry and popularity became the unspoken narrative. When Kendrick's name was announced as the Clio winner for his groundbreaking work, the audience erupted in applause, but reactions outside the venue were immediate and divided. Social media exploded with posts celebrating the win, highlighting Kendrick's experimental techniques, his storytelling genius, and his fearless approach to creativity. Critics praised the choice, arguing that the award was a reminder that true innovation still commands respect, even in an era dominated by streaming metrics and algorithm-driven hits. Yet, the conversation was far from unanimous. Drake's fans immediately voiced their frustration, questioning why global influence, commercial reach, and consistent chart dominance were overlooked in favor of experimental artistry. Memes, reaction videos, and heated comment threads spread across platforms within minutes, dissecting every angle of the decision. Some framed it as a classic debate: creativity versus popularity, substance versus mass appeal, artistry versus influence. Others suggested that the tension between the two artists wasn't merely about recognition. It was emblematic of the broader struggle in modern music, balancing innovation with commercial success. The night continued with a mix of celebration and controversy. Industry insiders whispered about how this moment could shape future collaborations, endorsements, and even the perception of hip-hop's evolution. Kendrick's win wasn't just symbolic. It set a benchmark for creativity, signaling to artists everywhere that innovation is still valued in an era increasingly defined by streaming numbers and viral moments. For Drake, the moment was a reminder that while influence is powerful, recognition in artistic spaces sometimes requires more than popularity. It requires pushing boundaries in ways that challenge the status quo. Despite the debates, one thing was clear: the 2026 Clio Awards had done more than distribute trophies. It had created a narrative that would dominate headlines, social media discussions, and industry analysis for weeks to come. The clash between Kendrick, Lamar, and Drake became less about the awards themselves and more about what they represented. Creativity and originality had their champion, while global dominance and commercial reach maintained their undeniable power. Fans, artists, and critics were now forced to confront a central question. In the evolving landscape of music, for Kendrick, the win was validation of years of meticulous, often risk-laden artistry. For Drake, it was a challenge, a reminder that influence alone does not always translate into recognition in spaces designed to honor innovation. And for the music world at large, it was a conversation starter, reigniting debates that had been simmering quietly beneath the surface for years. The night was only the beginning, and as fans dissected every performance, every speech, and every nuance, the conversation surrounding Kendrick versus Drake promised to dominate 2026 far beyond a single award ceremony. The Clio Awards had set the stage for an ongoing narrative: creativity versus popularity, artistry versus influence, substance versus reach. And as the crowd left the ceremony, one thing was certain: this wasn't just about who won a trophy. It was about defining what success means in today's music industry, and the debate had only just begun. The next day, the fallout from the Clio Awards was already in full swing. Social media feeds were flooded with reactions, debates, and memes, as fans dissected every moment of the ceremony and speculated about what the results meant for Kendrick, Lamar, and Drake. The conversation had grown beyond a simple recognition of artistic achievement. It had become a cultural debate. At the center of it all was the tension between innovation and influence, between creativity that challenges the boundaries of music and popularity that dominates charts worldwide. The Clio Awards had inadvertently become a battleground for this very discussion, and both artists found themselves at the heart of it. Kendrick's win was celebrated by many critics and industry insiders who saw it as a recognition of his fearless approach to music. His projects are known for their complexity, dense lyricism, layered production, and visual storytelling that often requires multiple listens and close analysis to fully appreciate. To many, The Clio Award was a fitting acknowledgement of this type of artistry, rewarding someone who isn't just producing hits, but shaping culture through experimentation and meaningful narratives. Kendrick's victory was being framed as a triumph of artistry over commercial dominance, a message that resonated with a segment of fans who value depth and innovation over metrics and mainstream visibility. Meanwhile, Drake's fanbase was vocally upset. For them, the Clio Awards represented a disconnect between recognition and influence. Drake's ability to consistently dominate global charts, maintain cultural relevance, and inspire millions should, in their eyes, merit recognition on every platform, including awards that focus on creativity. Social media exploded with arguments asserting that mass appeal and influence are forms of creative mastery in themselves, reflecting an artist's capacity to connect with audiences on a massive scale. Tweets, TikToks, and YouTube reaction videos debated whether the Clio Awards were too narrow in their definition of creativity, favoring innovation over impact, substance over reach. Amid the online debate, industry insiders weighed in, analyzing what Kendrick's win meant for the future of awards and recognition in hip-hop. Some argued that the Clio's focus on creativity signaled a renewed emphasis on artistry, pushing other musicians to take risks and innovate rather than solely chase chart success. Others suggested it was a temporary symbolic gesture, a nod to cultural credibility that might not translate to long-term influence in mainstream spaces dominated by streaming and virality. This tension reflected the broader challenge facing modern artists, balancing critical acclaim with commercial dominance while maintaining authenticity in a hyper-visible industry. Kendrick himself stayed mostly quiet during the immediate aftermath, letting the award and his work speak for him. Interviews and social media posts were minimal, a strategic choice that reinforced his image as an artist who prioritizes substance over spectacle. In contrast, Drake, known for his constant engagement with fans and media, was quietly monitoring the reaction, aware that perception and narrative are powerful tools in shaping legacy. Observers noted that how each artist responded, or didn't respond, would have significant implications for public perception, particularly in a moment charged with debates about artistry versus popularity. The Clio Awards win also prompted conversations about legacy. Kendrick's recognition was framed not only as a reward for one project, but as acknowledgement of a career dedicated to pushing boundaries and challenging the expectations of hip-hop. Fans discussed how this moment positioned him among the greatest artists of his generation, emphasizing that true influence is often measured in cultural shifts rather than just streaming numbers. Drake, on the other hand, remains the emblem of influence through sheer reach. Every release is a global event, every collaboration a viral sensation. This contrast highlighted the two distinct paths to impact in contemporary music, and why the debate between creativity and popularity continues to resonate. Media coverage played a crucial role in amplifying the discussion. News outlets, YouTube channels, and social media influencers dissected every moment, framing the narrative as a clash between artistry and dominance. Comparisons between Kendrick and Drake dominated trending topics, with analysts debating not only who deserved recognition, but also what kind of achievements the industry should prioritize moving forward. Was the Clio Award a statement that innovation trumps commercial success, or was it simply one perspective among many? The answer remained contested, fueling further engagement and discussion. Amid the hype and tension, fans began reflecting on the broader implications for hip-hop culture. The conversation wasn't just about two artists. It was about what the genre values and what it will reward in the years to come. Innovation, storytelling, cultural commentary, and experimentation were highlighted as traits that the industry increasingly wants to celebrate, while reach, influence, and mainstream dominance are seen as complementary, but not always sufficient for critical recognition. The Clio Awards had opened a door to a new kind of discussion, one that challenges assumptions about success and influence in music. By the end of the day, it was clear that the Kendrick versus Drake debate was far from over. The award may have gone to Kendrick, but the conversation had expanded to touch fans, critics, and insiders alike, creating a dialogue about what truly defines impact in music. Is it the ability to innovate, challenge norms, and elevate artistry? Or is it the power to dominate charts, shape culture, and influence millions around the world. As debates continued to rage online, one thing became undeniable. The Clio Awards had done more than honor an artist. They had ignited a conversation that would shape hip-hop's narrative for months to come, if not longer. The stage was set for what could become one of the defining rivalries of the era, not through direct conflict, but through the ongoing dialogue between creativity and popularity, innovation and influence. And for fans, the discussion promised to be as compelling as any track or album release in 2026, because it forced everyone to reconsider what matters most in the world of music. The debate over Kendrick, Lamar, and Drake's impact after the Clio Awards continued to intensify, moving beyond social media chatter and into in-depth industry analysis. Analysts, music critics, and cultural commentators weighed in, breaking down what Kendrick's win really meant in the broader context of hip-hop. While Drake had long been celebrated for his unparalleled reach and commercial dominance, Kendrick's recognition at the Clios was framed as a nod to long-term influence rooted in innovation and artistry. Many argue that this was a pivotal moment, not only for Kendrick but for the industry as a whole, signaling that true creative risk-taking could still receive acknowledgement despite the overwhelming power of streaming metrics and viral trends. For Kendrick Lamar, the Clio Award was more than just a trophy. It represented validation for a career defined by experimentation and cultural commentary. From his early albums to his more recent projects, Kendrick has consistently challenged the boundaries of hip-hop, blending genres, weaving social narratives into complex lyricism, and using visual storytelling to elevate music into an immersive experience. This award recognized not just a single project, but the cumulative impact of an artist who has reshaped the way people perceive hip-hop. Fans celebrated the acknowledgement, calling it a long-overdue affirmation that innovation is just as important, if not more so, than mass appeal. Drake, on the other hand, represents a different kind of dominance. His influence is global, his reach virtually unmatched, and his ability to shape trends immediate and pervasive. Every release, every collaboration, every viral moment reinforces his status as one of the most influential artists of his generation. Critics of the Clio decision questioned whether an award focused primarily on creativity could overlook the kind of cultural influence Drake wields. For many fans, popularity and creativity are not mutually exclusive, and Drake's ability to connect with millions worldwide is itself a testament to artistry in a different form. The debate intensified because it touched on a fundamental question: can influence be measured purely by innovation, or is impact also determined by reach and relevance? Social media was ablaze with discussions, reactions, and analyses. Memes and reaction videos spread rapidly, comparing Kendrick's meticulous, layered artistry with Drake's commercial and cultural dominance. Influencers dissected lyrics, music videos, and Clio categories, debating whether the award criteria truly reflected the values of modern music. Some argue that Kendrick's recognition highlighted the importance of pushing creative boundaries, while others contended that commercial success should not be dismissed when evaluating artistic impact. The dialogue reflected the broader tension in hip-hop culture, the balance between experimentation and mass appeal, between artistic integrity and global influence. Behind the scenes, insiders speculated about what the Clio recognition could mean for future projects and collaborations. Kendrick's win may encourage other artists to take creative risks, to experiment with sound and narrative, knowing that innovation can still be recognized and celebrated. Meanwhile, Drake's team likely considered strategies to maintain his dominance while also positioning him for recognition in spaces traditionally reserved for innovation and experimentation. The industry, already navigating a rapidly evolving musical landscape, watched closely to see how this narrative would shape trends and priorities in the years ahead. Fans also began reflecting on legacy, considering the long-term implications of the Clio Awards. Kendrick's win reinforced the idea that creative excellence can be acknowledged independently of commercial success, setting a benchmark for aspiring artists who prioritize experimentation over virality. Drake's continued dominance, meanwhile, reminded the world that global influence cannot be ignored and that popularity often translates to cultural relevance in ways that awards alone cannot capture. The contrast between the two artists illustrates two distinct paths to impact, each with its own merits, and each deserving of recognition in different contexts. Discussions expanded beyond hip-hop, touching on broader themes of art versus commerce, innovation versus accessibility, and the metrics by which success is measured in creative industries. Critics emphasize that awards are often symbolic, reflecting industry values rather than absolute judgment, while fans debated the validity of such recognition compared to commercial metrics. This conversation highlighted the evolving nature of artistic validation in the digital age, where streaming numbers, social influence, and critical acclaim intersect in complex ways. By the end of the week, the Kendrick versus Drake conversation had evolved into a larger cultural debate. Fans and critics continued to analyze every lyric, every project, and every public statement, not just for entertainment, but as a way to define what matters in modern music. The Clio Awards have provided a framework for discussion, but the conversation itself extended far beyond the ceremony, touching on identity, influence, and creative ambition. Ultimately, Kendrick's win and the ensuing debate reinforced a truth that has always existed in music. There is no single measure of greatness. Creativity, innovation, influence, and popularity all play different roles in shaping legacy. Kendrick Lamar's recognition affirmed that artistic bravery can be rewarded even if it doesn't always dominate the charts. Drake's influence, however, could not be ignored. Streaming numbers, chart dominance, and cultural ubiquity gave him a unique position in the music industry. While critics argued that these factors may not align with the Clio's creative focus, they underscored a different type of artistry, the ability to craft songs that resonate with millions globally, that define cultural moments, and that dominate public consciousness. Fans argued that commercial reach, like creative innovation, requires skill, strategy, and an understanding of audience psychology. The ongoing debate emphasized that both types of impact, critical acclaim and commercial dominance, have value, though measuring them against one another can be contentious. Social media fueled much of the ongoing discussion. Memes, reaction videos, and hot takes circulated, often highlighting contrast between Kendrick's cerebral artistry and Drake's mainstream accessibility. Fans dissected album releases, music videos, and live performances, comparing innovation, technical skill, and cultural impact. The debate moved from a focus on awards to broader questions. What defines artistic success today? Is it the ability to push creative boundaries, to craft music that challenges the listener? Or is it the capacity to connect with millions worldwide, shaping trends and cultural discourse? These questions sparked discussions that extended far beyond hip-hop, resonating with anyone navigating creative industries in the digital era. Industry insiders also speculated on the implications of the award for future collaborations and partnerships. Kendrick's win signaled that innovation could be a driving factor in securing recognition, potentially influencing decisions around music videos, marketing campaigns, and artistic direction. Drake's team, conversely, may consider strategies to balance his global reach with creative recognition, seeking projects that highlight not just commercial appeal, but also inventive artistry. The industry's response underscored the delicate balance artists must strike between innovation, influence, and marketability in today's competitive landscape. Critics further explored how the award affected the perception of hip-hop's evolution. Kendrick's recognition emphasized the importance of narrative, experimentation, and layered artistry in shaping cultural discourse. Drake's continued prominence highlighted how influence and accessibility also define the genre's impact. The duality between these approaches suggested that the discussion revealed that in today's music landscape, success is multidimensional, and evaluating it requires nuance. Social media and fan communities played a central role in shaping the narrative. Memes, reaction videos, and analytical breakdowns of Kendrick and Drake's work spread rapidly, fueling passionate debates. Fans dissected every lyric, music video, and public statement, comparing artistry, creativity, and impact. The conversation was no longer limited to awards. It encompassed the broader cultural significance of both artists. Some argued that Kendrick's recognition reinforced the importance of challenging norms, while others contended that Drake's global reach exemplified the power of connection and influence. The dialogue highlighted the complexity of measuring greatness in an era dominated by digital metrics, virality, and global attention. Industry insiders also speculated about the long-term consequences of the Clio Awards. Kendrick's win may encourage artists to take more creative risks, experimenting with sound, narrative, and visual storytelling, knowing that innovation can receive formal recognition. For Drake, the moment may prompt strategic decisions to pursue projects that balance commercial success with creative experimentation, further reinforcing his relevance in spaces that reward artistry beyond popularity. These dynamics reflect an industry in which influence, creativity, and marketability are intertwined, and where navigating all three is crucial for sustained success. The legacy debate further fueled fan engagement. Kendrick's body of work is increasingly seen as a blueprint for the future of hip-hop. Artists who prioritize narrative depth, conceptual projects, and sonic innovation can achieve recognition and cultural impact. Drake's career demonstrates that mass appeal and global influence remain vital to defining contemporary success, shaping trends, and setting cultural moments. The contrast between the two artists underscores that there is no singular path to greatness. Both approaches carry merit, and both contribute to the evolution of hip-hop in unique ways. By mid-2026, the conversation had grown into a cultural phenomenon. Discussions about creativity, popularity, and influence dominated comment sections, podcasts, and industry panels. Fans and critics debated not only who won the Clio Awards but also who ultimately defines hip-hop's trajectory: the artist who challenges conventions, or the artist who commands global attention. Both Kendrick and Drake occupy central roles in this dialogue, embodying different but complementary forms of power within the music industry. Ultimately, the Clio Awards and the ensuing discourse highlighted a critical truth: artistic greatness is multifaceted. Creativity, innovation, influence, and popularity all intersect, shaping how artists are remembered and how culture evolves. Kendrick Lamar's recognition celebrated his ingenuity, while Drake's continued dominance emphasized the significance of connection and reach. Together, they represent two sides of modern hip-hop, sparking conversations that transcend awards and redefine how fans and industry insiders perceive success. As the debate continues, one thing is clear: Kendrick versus Drake is more than a rivalry. It is a defining dialogue of our era. The conversation about creativity versus popularity, artistry versus influence, and innovation versus accessibility will continue to shape the music world for years to come. Fans, critics, and industry insiders alike will watch, dissect, and participate in this discussion, ensuring that the legacies of both artists remain central to the evolving story of hip-hop. The Clio Awards may have been a moment, but the conversation surrounding these two cultural powerhouses is far from over. The Kendrick versus Drake debate is more than just an awards controversy. It's a defining conversation about artistry, influence, and what truly matters in modern hip-hop. Kendrick's Clio Awards celebrated innovation, experimentation, and the courage to push creative boundaries, while Drake's global dominance demonstrates the undeniable power of reach, cultural influence, and connection with millions of fans worldwide. Both represent different but equally valid paths to shaping music and culture, sparking discussions that go far beyond a single trophy. If you want to stay updated on every development in this rivalry, explore the deeper meaning behind awards, and understand how creativity and popularity collide in hip-hop today, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think defines modern hip-hop more? Kendrick Lamar's artistry or Drake's influence? Join the conversation and let's dissect this debate together.